returns to violence. And the returns to violence went way down in, let's say, the 20th century. And I hate to tell you, but the returns to violence are going up. Thank you.
I think the perception of the returns to violence going up is accurate. I think the reality is not the perception. I think the reality is the statistics show that crime is going down. It's really interesting. Crime is such a big issue in the current mayoral campaign here in New York City. Well, over the long 4th of July holiday, there was one shooting. One shooting over 3 days on a holiday weekend. I don't think Chicago could boast that. And yet people have the perception that crime is running rampant in New York, but the statistics show that all major crime is down. Now, shoplifting is way up. That's way up. Other crimes are down. The violent crimes are down. Shoplifting is not a violent crime. It's not that it's not a serious crime. It's not a violent crime. So sometimes the perception, I know we say, becomes a reality, but it may not be accurate. Thank you, Double. Marshall.
I want to listen to your thought. I don't think rolling up masks, I know they can arrange for security, but I don't think rolling up masks, I don't think snatching people off the streets, I don't think bridging people's civil rights is the right way to go. Don't get me wrong, there is a job to do, but I don't think those sorts of tactics are American. I think they are reminiscent of third world countries and the way they kind of enforce it. There's not, unless you're facing the cartels themselves, there's not necessarily a need for a masked dude. There's probably a need more often for an officer-friendly rather than some sort of masked ICE agent. So I would say that's probably not the best way to operate, and I would contribute some of those tactics to be un-American, to try to directly answer your question.
So there's also a psychology involved, by the way, to use your officer-friendly analogy. If a cop is in his or her blues and standing out on the street corner helping little old ladies cross the street, kind of thing, that demeanor of that officer is different than somebody who is wearing combat boots and military garb and carrying long guns and flying in convoys in military uniform, type vehicles designed to
revealed all the stories of the nuke.
Designed to have a psychological impact on the populace. You do that to have an impact on the populace. That's why you do it. But it also has an impact on the officers. And if they are not identifiable, not only do you lose accountability of the officers, but you lose accountability, you lose the individuality of the officers. They become one entity.
So are you still talking in here? What are you talking about?
And so
we're talking about you.
It's a completely...
how much we miss your presence in our life all the time, and that we wish we could have as many cell phones at our disposal as you do.
Yeah,
we just want to know how we can farm the aura points that you have farmed.
Well, poetry comes out of books, not eating bonbons and sitting on your cell phone all day doom scrolling. So again, they're called books. Some people go to what's called a book club.
I don't know how
they read what's called a book, and then they go and they talk to people about what's in the book, as opposed to coming on here and having pointless conversations about nothing for fucking years while their fucking hair is falling out of their dried out oily scalps. And they don't even go to the gym because they weigh 300 pounds and they never got started. my god. T-Robs is the most foul-mouthed, disgusting person I've ever heard. They're all
I know,
fucking
leprechaun.
horrible.
He's a leprechaun bitch.
It's like they call me a simp because they sit there and use horrific profanity and racist terminology. I'm like, you guys are the problem that you're describing. Like, if you want to change,
You go on dates, he doesn't.
I just went out on a date, 10 minutes ago. The point is,
How did that go?
she was 22. She was from Alabama. No. She absolutely hates her parents or her father, I think, in general.
Is that Jacob?
And I said to her, she was like, I guess that's why I'm on a date with a 42-year-old. I'm like, I just let it go right by. I'm like, okay.
Not her clocking her own tea.
No,
she had horrible anxiety. She I could tell but I brought a book on astrology and I showed her zodiac in the book. And
you're so kind.
Yeah. So to me, it's like when you go out on a first date, it's like a job interview. Are you bringing peace to their situation, peace and strength, or are you bringing more anxiety to their dysfunctional relationships?
So are you gonna see her again?
I don't know. She messaged me back on Hinge, but she never texted me. So yeah, maybe I'll see her again. But she lives like an hour.
I was talking today about Pro-K and your situation to Kate's.
Oh, who?
Pearl, the Iran or Iraq.
Oh, the chick that I dated for like 3 days.
Yes.
Yeah,
I asked her, did she really meet John Kitover? She was like, no. She was like, no. I was like, yeah, right. You have literally a PTR of Chicago on your PTR.
There's like 150 women you could ask that question to, and then I'll be like, who?
Really? On here?
No, in the real world. I mean, I've slept with probably 100.
Yeah, okay. In the real world, I know that you've been dating every day. Almost every day.
Because the thing is, I've gone out with a lot of chicks that I've slept with, and then they Google me and look me up and see my YouTube channel, and they're like...
Yeah, I don't blame them.
And then their eyes are just like wide open. They're like...
We were just joking today. When, imagine a girl sleeps over at your place, and then there's this one room with all your phones in it, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then you're not allowing these people to open the door. And then this girl is like, the curiosity killed the cat. So she's like, okay, let me just go check. And then as soon as she takes the doorknob, you're like behind her. It's like, I told you not to open the door.
No, honestly, I'm not ashamed of this. If somebody wanted to come in here and look at all my cell phones, I'd be like, don't hate me.
Maybe Jacob would want to.
What?
Jacob, you should meet American. He's a fun dude to be around.
No thanks.
Why not?
'Cause I don't know him.
He has a Trump hat on.
No thanks.
So
sorry, we adopted this guy from Twitter, and Dylan also from Twitter.
How's Twitter going? Are you having any fun there?
No, I'm not on there anymore. It's not that nice. There's like a lot of dumb people. You think these people are dumb or clever? There's even more retarded.
I know. It's a stupid index. Like, there are stupid people everywhere on the internet, and that's why they're here, because this is where stupid people end up, because they're stupid.
Yeah.
Can we get like a peace treaty going? Is that okay? Can we like sign some documents? Is that alright?
With whom?
With the one host.
No.
I would like to have it because I want to live without anxiety that we're going to be out for each other. I don't want to be dealing
So
with
that was the first test that America was talking about. Are you bringing peace to the first date or more anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
If she brings more anxiety, maybe it's time to cut it out.
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you want to be with somebody because you want companionship, part of what you're bringing to that relationship is the ability to deeply relax someone when they need to be. Because a lot of people, their anxiety gets the best of them, and it makes absolutely no difference how anxious you get to what the future is going to have in store. I mean, people think words like fate and destiny are just concepts. It's like, motherfucker, they're words. You better contemplate those words, because everyone in this room has a fate and a destiny, and what you do now and how you educate yourself now is what changes that fate and destiny. for the more positive vibrations. So coming on this app and being a child and wasting all your time is very low quality vibration. And so the question is, how do you raise the positive vibrations? You have to create value. And look at Jacob, you know, he just literally committed what you could call the most vile of all disgusting things. I mean, what a loser. And is it pronounced Jacob or is it pronounced Jacob?
What?
Wake it up, American. He's been harassing me, and he wants to, like, he's mad that I told him that he needs to get over himself.
She's been telling him.
And he's very upset.
He's like a Palestinian.
I would like to be,
He's projecting the Palestinians.
And then I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the next minute he's cussing me out.
Preconditions. Can we get a contract signed? He's like a little girl, you know, who wants to make best friends in like the 5th grade. Like, sign this contract. I'm gonna make you sign a contract to be my friend. What a loser.
I would like that.
That's a lack of self-confidence, a lack of intelligence, a lack of virtue. How shameful.
A lack of vibes, if you will.
That's right. Positive vibrations always. And I say friends for life.
So American, she was, when I first met her, she was also telling me to kill myself a lot. Like,
Really?
No, I did not. When I first met you, I did not tell you to kill yourself. I told you to get over yourself.
I don't, see, and then they talk and they say that didn't happen, and that's the only thing I can remember is every single day that I've seen her.
He's decided because I remind him of his mom that everything that he's annoyed with, I am the one who is at the center of it all. Even though I'm not even the one who told him to kill himself. After a few days of listening to him, I said, you know what? Okay, kill yourself.
So badly.
I said to kill yourself.
Okay, let's just do a therapeutic moment and take a hard break. Take the deepest breath of the day through your nose. Hold it for 10 seconds. That's right, 10, not 11, 10, not 9. And say, I am a flower, I am fresh. That's right, I am a flower, I am fresh. Now take the second deepest breath of the day through your nose. Hold it for 10 seconds and say, I am a mountain, I am solid. I am a mountain, I am solid. Now let's take the third deepest positive vibration breath of the day through our nose. Let's hold it for 10 seconds and say, I am water and I am still. That's right, I am still and balanced and full of equilibrium. Okay, now let's take the fourth deepest breath of the day. Hold it for 10 seconds. That's right, 10, not 11, 10, not 9. Let it go and say, I am space. I am free. That's right, I am space and I am free. That's your positive 4-pebble, positive neurolinguistic programming, meditation, hypnosis of the day. Keep breathing, everybody, in positive vibrations.
Anyway, Kate told him to take his medicine that he was prescribed, psychological medicine. There's no such thing as femcell. Yeah, there is. Come on, Lee.
You know, I realized something about the Dutch is that they're essentially, you know, they're the transporters. And like what you do here, Anatolian, is like navigation work or essentially logistics.
Yes, exactly. I'm the VOC.
But your English quality, you're lacking in your English pronunciation. You might need to go to my friend's website, pronunciationworkshop.com, to work on some of your words.
Think about that.
Lieb studies Torah and Hebrew. Lieb, what have you learned about Hebrew?
Like, what did you learn about Lashon Hara?
Okay, that's like saying a bad thing about somebody.
No.
And for something.
Hold on, I have a question. So, are you as a Jew allowed to do Lashon Hara on the Goy?
Lashon Hara is like a huge topic, and there's so many like holes in it that you could go backwards and find any reason that you needed to do it or to not do it. That's what I can say.
No, I don't like that answer.
Okay, well, I'll give you another answer, okay? You could do Lashon Hara.
Okay, let's just do
somebody else with benefit. So it'd be like this person was going to marry that person, and you knew that the person had like some type of mental issue. Let's say you knew it, but the person that they were going to marry did not know. Then you can say that there's a benefit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so then if by parity of logic, if you could do that for like a Jewish person, you could also do it against a Gent.
Okay. Thank you.
Somebody asked a question about like studying Torah and what did I learn about Hebrew?
Yeah, it was American.
Oh, it looks like he's dumb. I learned a lot of things. By the way. Okay, so they have like these idiot here, like these Hebrew idiot lights that are all over this app. And I can tell you one thing that not a single one of them knows, which is there is more than one vowel in Hebrew. The A-class vowel is one among many other vowels. So that's the first lesson to learn if you want to know about like biblical Hebrew.
What do you mean?
Those idiots seem to think that if they just put like an A sound after every consonant, then they think
The charge of calling something un-American is, I don't know, convenient.
So like the word like
That might be the word I'm looking for.
Quarter, like a coin.
When it was unquestioned
That's what I'm saying.
that the behavior of government officials during the past half decade was not un-American.
Yeah, but again, I think the interruption that I made before you made your point was apropos, because that's not the question at hand. I know you want to tie the two together. The question is what's going on today. The question is not what happened before that caused the situation that's going on today. So
Okay.
I would
I made my point. You could put it down. I appreciate it. Thank you, Barry.
Well, I mean, it's a point. I'm not saying it's not a point, but it's, I believe, others will disagree, probably they'll agree with you that it's off topic. I believe that it's off topic. Dave?
So Gary, seeing you mentioned Obama, so the question is the tactic American, un-American with reference to 2025 Trump 2.0 versus Obama, right? So some of the statistic, for instance, right? I just use ChatGPT as usual, just that I'm very good at prompt. And so it cost Obama over 4 year average 10,300 per person, okay? And in total over 4 years, 3.7 million, and therefore it costs 403 billion total, right?
To
so
do
the
what?
question
To
is
do what? To
deport 3.7 million.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Over 4 years. Yeah. So that is what I get. And the question is, when we talk about American, un-American, so I think a lot of the response here is what social media experts call emotional hijacking. That means people are responding because they find the process very arousing to the emotion, right? And therefore they see it's their right to express, there should be something peaceful for the day, and then now they are watching this in the TV, so they're getting very annoyed, and therefore they need to express it. So is that an American attribute? And the other thing is,
Wait a minute. Are you suggesting that the criticism of the way that the government is rounding people up in the manner in which they are doing is because it's on fire on social media, and that people can now look at what's actually happening and critically judge one way or the other whether it's a correct procedure or not? Is that your...
Yeah.
I wholly, completely reject your argument. I'm going to tell you straight out, you can make your argument, but I'm going to just tell you that I wholly reject it. As the person who established the topic for today, I do not believe that social media has got my emotions going, and that I have a misperception about what's happening out there.
But Gary, you are critical. You have critical thinking, but it doesn't represent the majority of Americans. So you are exception.
How do you know? How do you know how the majority of Americans even feel about this?
How Obama did it.
But wait a minute. Hold on. I'll let you get on with your next point. How do you know how the majority of Americans feel about this? Maybe the majority of Americans have the perception, based on what's been going wild on social media, that we're under an invasion, an attack by a bunch of illegal people coming into the United States, and that the previous administrations, the Democratic administrations, allowed them in, and we have no choice other than to do this. And that was created. Dominic's point was not critically thinking. Dominic's point, based on I'm not arguing, Dominic, please understand. Dominic's point was fueled because he can't critically think. It was fueled by social media. What do you think about that?
So I compare two approach. Obama, as you say, as you rightly point out, at the way Trump is going, is less fewer people than Obama. But Obama did it in a very less conspicuous way compared to Trump. The question could be like the need. Trump approaches, a deterrent, right? So we are doing do it this way, so you stop coming. But Obama way is you can come, but we deport you faster, because Obama has no court hearing. 70 to 83%, according to what I get from ChatGPT, expedite without court hearing, right? So doing everything very, very quiet, but costs a lot more money. And
that raises an excellent point, that he might have gotten a big pass on that, because
exactly.
There's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of criticism of Donald Trump for violating the due process of people, whether they are citizens or not, with regard to this. And what you are suggesting is that under Obama, people's due process was violated all the time, based on the statistics that you just called from ChatGPT.
Yes.
Right, which suggests that people, the majority of those that he deported them without due process. And how did he get away with that without the kind of criticism that Trump is getting? That is really an interesting point.
That is going
needs to be thinking.
Yeah, and typically if somebody deport military, it's around 4,000, but average for Obama is 10,000, right? So it takes a lot more time, and without due processes, a lot of covert operation. So this worth critical thinking, right? So I think there are a lot of people. I stop here now.
So wait a minute, I'm not going to let you stop, because I need to get something clarified if you don't mind. So Dave, are you saying that by not doing due process, it costs us more than by following due process?
I mean,
did I hear you say that?
Feel about this? Maybe the majority of Americans.
I think you need to go back and check that again, because if a person is grabbed and thrown back across the border expeditiously, why would that cost more than detaining them in Alligator, Alcatraz, or other places? There's got to be a cost to that. There's something wrong with those figures. I think you got to delve a little bit further.
Yeah, somebody more expert than me qualified, but that is the number I point out.
I really, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. You better check your coupons a little more closely before you go to the grocery store this week, because something that doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that you're not accurately reporting what you read, but I don't think that what you read makes any sense whatsoever. It's illogical, as Mr. Spock would tell Captain Kirk.
Hey, hi there.
Hi.
Always fun here.
And by the way, thanks for all your contributions on the chat.
I always feel so guilty because I can't join.
No, because when you're really very insightful, and I know you come from a perspective based on your experiences, and it's very important when we have these discussions to hear from folks who've had the kinds of experiences that you've had.
Thank you. And as I will always point out, I'm an independent. I am not registered Republican or Democrat. I'm literally registered independent. And I would say to Dave very kindly to just please don't just depend on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not frequently accurate. It is something to just kind of go to for quick things.
I guarantee you, Meryl, who's a legal researcher, doesn't do her legal research on ChatGPT.
There you go.
Because lawyers who have become admonished and sometimes sanctioned by judges. So,
yes.
And by the way, this is an interesting thing. I just want to point this out real quickly. Boaz and I said to Boaz the other day, I said, Boaz, what if you and I asked ChatGPT the same exact question at the same time? Will we get the same answer? And he said, no, we won't get the same answer because ChatGPT takes into consideration other things that you have asked it in the past and other things that I have asked it. I said, well, let's try it. So I actually wrote out that exact question. If two people ask ChatGPT the same thing at exactly the same time, will they get the same answer? And we did, and then I sent it to him. He copied and pasted it. I'm on the phone with him, and we go 3, 2, 1, boom. We fired, and the answer was no. They will not get the same answer. But then the rest of it was completely different. 2 different explanations of why, and contradictory to some point. So you're right. You can't depend on AI. And for those of you who are looking for a companion on AI, I got to tell you, it's not the same as the real thing. I've investigated it, Barbie. I did some investigative reporting, and it ain't the same. But
all right, ChatGPT cannot make your cup of tea. All right, so in a nutshell, I do feel if we want to use the term un-American, the current expression of how ICE is doing things, I think is un-American. I do think, though, it's a double-edged sword because I believe that it's been implemented this way because that's what they want. They want the visual and the optics. And it's a matter of how much will the American public tolerate. To Anson's point, yes, when if you're going after the gang members, of course you got to be suited up. But the thing is, I'm really having my doubts as to how many gang members they're catching because I feel like with the PR machine that's rolling, like this massive propaganda machine that's rolling right now, if they did have some good old-fashioned shootouts with gang members, just like in the movies, and they grabbed them and they got them
Elliot Ness, Tommy guns.
Yes, that would be on not just Fox News, but on all kinds of news. Like that would be something that would be out there all over social media. But instead we're seeing, let's say a courthouse, there's really no need for guys to be wearing tactical stuff in a courthouse because the assumption is people have been checked. I mean, I could see, obviously they should have their weapons, but the way they approach things, it's not necessary. It's just not. It's literally not. I don't care. Maybe it's true. And if in fact Obama did it the way if he violated due process, well, shoot, he got away with a lot that he shouldn't have, although I know there was plenty of outcry in certain circles about what he was doing with immigration. But honestly, this is literally not necessary. And I still go back to that question. I'm going to keep posing it all the time until we finally come up with an answer. And that is, why is it that I know I have seen, and I'm happy to when I find them, and if I have time, I just never have time, I will post them, the videos of these guys literally almost slinking away, just backing down. In some instances where they could have easily arrested the person that they were going to arrest. And in a couple of cases, it's been women just stand there and say, show me your ID, identify yourself, identify yourself, identify yourself, identify yourself.
Barbie,
and the guys argue back.
Barbie, here's the thing. How do we know that those are ICE agents?
That's my point.
They're not wearing badges. They're not wearing name tags. Their faces are covered. How do you know that they're ICE agents?
Well, I don't think they are.
Well, in actual fact, there have been cases where people have been busted impersonating ICE agents. They're going around and just messing around with people, and it's not even ICE that's doing it. So here's another reason why the ICE agents should be identifiable. You want to be able to identify the ICE agents so that you know that they are actually ICE agents, for God's sake.
Yeah, in the end, it would be better for them. I realize, and I know that Double made the point about the returns of violence and all of that, and that there's some truth to that. But in this case, and Marshall, we agree on this, it's just, they could easily arrest these people just normally, quietly, just arrest them. Just take the people you need to take, just quietly. You don't have to put on a show. So, to conclude, I really
it's
think
so
it's
quiet
a
to arrest somebody.
Just to intimidate. And the reason for some of us, this is, and they know this, I'm sure. I don't know if they've thought it through this much, or it's just intuitively that they know that it strikes fear in the hearts of people. But, I have a lot of friends. I lived in Chile for 2 years. And studied theater down there, and it was during Pinochet, and there was a thing called Operation Condor in South America, and that was where several of the South American countries, the very repressive dictatorships from Argentina, from Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, eventually Brazil, and a couple of others, did use these tactics and did disappear people and never identified themselves. And the entire continent.
And now people from that very continent are now having to suffer flashbacks based on the manner in which, again, I'm going to mention Meryl. Meryl grew up in Oak Park, Michigan. And Oak Park, at the time that she grew up there, was a Jewish suburb of Detroit. It was heavily, predominantly Jewish. And there were survivors of the Holocaust, many who were living in Oak Park. And because of that, the police department, this is a minor point, but really to the people, it's a major point. The police department, I don't know, Meryl, whether you knew this or not, they were prohibited from using their high-low sirens on the police cars. Do, 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 do.
Yes,
because because those were the sirens that the Nazis used.
Yeah.
So they were sensitive to that, and they deliberately said you could use any other, the Yelp, any other siren that you want, and on those interceptor, which they use then, I don't know whether they use them now, siren devices in every police car back in the day. There were like 4 or 5 different, but you could not do the high-low. Could not.
Right.
Even though that's the most effective siren that there is, because it goes through all the ranges, so that when people have hearing loss, the chances are that you're going to hit one where they can actually hear it. So it's a very effective, but you could not use it in Oak Park because they did not want to strike terror into the people who lived through the Holocaust. And now they are deliberately using the same tactics that were used against people who came to this country seeking asylum, many of them, not all, in order to strike fear into the populace. And can you imagine how folks feel? You can, I think, but I'm just saying the rest of us, can we imagine how folks are feeling? I escaped that kind of oppression, and now it's happening again.
Yeah, I know I need to end. I'll say this, that the reason that came back to my mind was because, like, the guanacos in Chile, it was the armored tanks, and they call them guanacos because it's a kind of animal that spits, and these things used to shoot out like water cannons at protesters all the time and stuff. But seeing these armored vehicles driving around like LA and places like that, people don't realize the long-term effects of this is going to be something on this nation's psyche, and I think history's not going to be kind to it. And the last thing I want to say is you guys need to stop saying that these are tactics used in third world countries everywhere, because I'll tell you what, in Costa Rica, we don't use these tactics. A lot of so-called third world countries, we've actually evolved past this. Well, the U.S. is regressing. So even though Costa Rica is a little, we call it a platanal con luces, which means like a banana farm with floodlights. We're just a little tiny country. Yeah, we don't use these tactics. I mean, we also don't have an army.
The best beaches, right? The best beaches? Is that true?
Beaches? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I hear. The best beaches.
Yeah, we literally don't have an army, so I guess that's not a great analogy. But a lot of so-called third world countries have actually moved past this type of thing. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. A lot of people on stage. We're going to not bring anybody else up onto the stage, but we will get to everyone here, I promise. I just want to make another point, and that has to do with quotas. There's a quota. The president has acknowledged there's a quota. 4 million people he wants deported. That's a quota in 4 years. In law enforcement, it has been proven over and over again. And that's why when they have quotas and they're accused of having quotas, the police department denies it because it is counterproductive to have quotas because people who officers ought not to be going after, they can, but they're supposed to use discretion. They go after this low-hanging fruit in order to meet their quotas. And that's why people who are not driving recklessly, but may have changed lanes without signaling, or maybe their tag light is out. You know, the proper thing to do is you pull the person over, you run them, you see that they're not wanted, you see they have a clean driving record, and you say to them, Mr. Baumgarten, you probably weren't aware, but your tag light is out. You can actually, they sometimes even give them a ticket, which if you show that it's been repaired, it depends on the municipality or whatever. But
you can, I think.
Now they pull the person over specifically, not because, oh my God, there's somebody with a tag light out. No, it's the end of the month and I didn't meet my quota. And by the way, while they're messing around with him, the drunk driver drives by that they could have captured, right? So this is why quotas are really, really counterproductive. And I think we are seeing this on a real large scale right now. Thank you, Barbie.
Did you say Hinda?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. You said it real fast. Okay, so hi everybody. Are ICE tactics now un-American? I personally think that they are. Growing up, my understanding was ICE didn't typically go to. I'm sorry if I'm breaking up. My understanding go to churches or schools or like hospitals, and I think the fact that they could go in there, it would disrupt like the hospital. The hospital patients and people with emergencies and deliver babies. They're not there for you to police immigrants. It's just weird. Same thing with church. Like people are there to worship, and school children are there to learn. So just because you can doesn't mean that you should. I think it would create a lot of disruption. Me personally, I'll say this. My father is a naturalized citizen, so he used the legal ways, means to be here. He became naturalized, right? He got a green card and then became naturalized. My mother she's a U.S. born citizen. She's product of slaves, the 14th Amendment, all that stuff. So for me personally, like I would be very upset if I was to go into a restaurant or a store or in some area where there's amount of immigrants and it gets raided, or I pull over, or ICE approaches me and asks me to show my documentation. I'm going to be really upset because I feel like, I was born.
Yeah. You're making some great points there, Hinda, but we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. You're underwater. We cannot hear you. Sorry, Hinda. Can't hear you. I guess there it goes. It went through this time. Sorry, Hinda, we cannot hear you. You were underwater there. I told the story the other day about the car. They thought that they looked like they were Hispanic, so they pulled them over, and it was Native American women. And the guy from ICE says, "Are you an American?" And she says, "Yeah, are you?" That was great, But why are you pulling a car over just because you see two old ladies driving the car who look like they may be Hispanic? Because there's a lot of Indian blood and folks from south of the border, right? So why would you do that? You had no reason to pull that car over except you profiled that car and said, "Oh, maybe I got me one." And by the way, and then a person is required to show proof of citizenship? No, under the law, I am not required, and neither were those ladies. Thank you, Hilda. Sorry we lost you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Am I clear now?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I think it's very un-American. You can't tell by looking at someone whether or not they're legal, and that irritates me when people say, "Oh, they're probably illegal." You don't know by looking at someone. It would take verification, and I just feel like, why is ICE harassing people? I think, like I said, now if you come here illegally, they all know, and documented people all know that they are taking a risk by coming here, and there is a risk that they could be caught and they could be deported. However, I don't agree with the lack of due process. I don't agree with that. And the last thing I want to say is the difference between Obama and Trump. I think it was the tactics. To me, in my opinion, from what I experienced in seeing Obama as president versus Trump, it seemed like Obama, he did it a lot more quietly and hush-hush, and then we started finding out these reports about these people that were separated near the border, and they were separated from their children, and they were breaking up these families, and they couldn't pair these children back with their parents. I definitely thought that was wrong to take children away from their parents. I didn't agree with that. Like I said, I think Obama was more hush-hush. Trump is just more overt. Like the commercials on TV, like you see, like, leave the country now, with like Kristi Noem, get out of here, if you're illegal, you need to go now. Them sending emails to people, and even American citizens are mistakenly getting these emails that they should self-deport themselves. I feel like it's a lot of like tactics to like get media attention, like a machine to intimidate and to scare people, frankly. And I think that's not American. Like I said, the legality, yes, you can, but just because you can, should you deporting people to third world countries, not back to their country of origin? They're stuck in some weird limbo in Sudan and in Panama. I think that's really crazy. And my other concern is, I'll say this, I want to let someone else talk. My other concern is how we're viewed by the world now. And if we as Americans travel to foreign countries, how are those foreign countries, right, going to treat us, right? Knowing what we're doing to them or to other countries. I've traveled to, my husband's from Nicaragua, he has a green card. I've traveled to Nicaragua as an American, and nobody was pulling me over and asking to see my documents or papers, or I wasn't harassed or anything like that. I was free to, once I made it through the airport and showed my passport, I was free to shop and tour and be a tourist and travel and all that stuff. So I am concerned, like, if I go to another one, if I was to travel, to one of these countries, how would I be received? How would their government now treat me, knowing how we're treating their people? I think that is a concern for U.S. diplomats and people that are living, U.S. citizens that are living overseas. Could there be some type of retaliation? And that's all.
Just tell them you're Canadian, Hinda. Chris.
Hey, what's going on, Gary?
Hey, all is well.
All is, man. Let's ask the question. Are ICE tactics un-American? Well, Gary, I'll have to tell you, I'm a Black American. African American, slavery descendant, all the above. It's pretty damn American to watch white people, not even just specifically white people, but authoritarians wearing masks telling people that they can't be here. Do I think it's correct? Hell no. I think this is one of the craziest tactics that I think Trump has actively used, which is to actively scare not only immigrants and native, let's say Hispanic individuals, because we're not speaking directly we're not speaking about immigrants specifically. We're speaking about demographic of immigrants, because I'm sure the Germans and the Swedish and the Russians, they're not nervous. They're not scared at all as what could possibly happen with the masked ICE agents that are harassing at this point normal people that could possibly, air quote, look like they're immigrants. And again, I don't know how you dictate how a person looks. I did go over that checklist that they had for the air quote immigrants that they were searching for that wore Nike and Jordan apparel and had crown tattoos and very, very, very obvious and cultural tattoos and clothing for those people that they were looking for. So very easy to harass and pick those people out of the lineup. But as being un-American, I don't know if this is un-American. Maybe within the last century or 40 to 50 years, maybe. But this is the history that he told the people he was bringing back. Donald Trump stated, "I'm going to make America great again." And he kept speaking back to the 1700s and the 1800s. He spoke about it often in his rallies, about how he wanted to bring us back to the early 1700s and 1800s with his ideals of what he thought America should look like. And if we're being honest, men running around with masks, kidnapping, we can say, what's the right word? Shit. Detaining random people that don't look like them. Yeah, that's about as American as this place probably is going to be, other than actually doing right by the people that helped build it. So I'm going to say, yes, it's not right. But if we're going to be honest, this is pretty American to my viewpoints. Again, it's kind of hard.
Thank you, Chris.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to move on because
please go ahead.
A lot of folks on, but that's really an excellent point, and you give a perspective that I certainly couldn't give.
Last thing, Gary, real quick. Last thing. This is just a 20-second thing. Real quick. Also, a lot of people we hear on these stages and in spaces are going to speak of this as if it's not a concern to them. Again, that is a privilege that not everybody in this country gets. So when people say, well, they need to protect themselves from other people that, let's just say, because they keep using it as the cartel runs this country, people that want to dox them. Hell, we could be getting doxxed right now out of this room from random people that's in here. So it doesn't hide them from doxing or any type of safety precautions. It's really just a scare attack, and I'm going to land there. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Chris. I know this is anecdotal, but I don't know how many of you saw this. I saw it in a news report. The fellow saw ICE trying to make an arrest. And I don't know whether it was a legitimate arrest or it wasn't a legitimate arrest, but he took exception to it. So he pulled out his iPhone and he started recording them. And he expressed his other First Amendment right,
at this point,
and that was he objected to what they were doing, and he started yelling at them, "Why are you arresting this person? Why are you arresting this person?" And one of the ICE agents, all dressed up like he was going to war in Fallujah, face obscured, walks up to him and tells him to shut up and stop recording, or you're going to go to jail. And he said, "I have the right to record and I have the right to object," and he got thrown to the ground. And they arrested him, I guess thinking, because he was yelling at them in Spanish, that he was an illegal migrant. And they get him into detention. And he says, "Why are you arresting me? I'm an American citizen. I was born in the United States." He's a PhD candidate. And so, according to him, they then had a discussion, well, what are we going to charge this guy with? Because, we got to charge him with something because we arrested him. So they charged him with assaulting an ICE agent, and with interfering with the ICE agent verbally, which I don't know how that you could charge somebody with that. But it was something like that was the second charge. Well, the video clearly shows he assaulted no one. He was exercising his First Amendment rights, and he was slammed to the ground for doing so and held in detention for 24 hours and then released, but having been charged with something that he did not do in order to justify the fact that they had arrested him. All right, to Anson's point, maybe this is one and the only one like this, but I highly suspect that it probably is not, that there are many more like this that have not surfaced yet, but we're going to see more surface, I guarantee you. And you can take that to the bank. Alyssa.
Sorry, I hit a couple wrong gifts. Somebody, but the gift system on here is completely prejudiced. I typed in South American, and they were going. There's one that says ice and like a big X through it, just as an example. I thought that was interesting. But the thing about, remember when Obama took office and then the ceiling, like he kept raising the ceiling from like, it was like at 3,000 all the way to then 13,000. I just remember that when, and I wasn't even into politics. I didn't even vote the first time then, but don't spread that. So I was looking up a New York Post thing. I couldn't believe it was New York Post because I don't give them the time of day. But it said that, you know, the first term of Biden had 8 million crossover, and then they didn't even finish saying the rest because
And they get them into the tent.
About 10. He went over the House Homeland Security's head, the House Committee and Homeland Security, to go out and use these parole programs to bring in like those people from, you know, I remember he named back then it was like Colombia and Venezuela. That's all I remember.
What does that have to do with what is going on now in terms of ICE, what ICE is doing?
Okay, so I'm saying how many people were pushed over the board or flooded over in the last 8 years. And then also, and then they say on TV and everything.
So you're making Dominic's point that they have to do these tactics because of...
No, I don't. Because I was agreeing with some of the stuff you were saying, because I have not seen them attack people, and I don't think that's right too. And they were overestimating the assaults on ICE people by other people, and it was just because they run at them so aggressively, they like make somebody might get in the way, and it looks like they're getting interference. So that's like bad. That's bad. And the thing about the masks, though, it's completely for the safety of the doxing of those ICE workers' families. I know that. But how they can take them down. And then I just wanted to say, I've heard over and over again, read that people are getting, that are illegal and not harmful, are getting caught with the ones that have a rap sheet. But why are they even hanging out with them? So it's like, who are the, most 5 people you hang around with? I wouldn't want to be one of these, parole people that came out of a jail, over here and has killed people and stuff, or just have any kind of rap sheet.
Okay, thank you for that, Alyssa.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate it, and we'll now go to David. David.
Yeah, sorry, Gary. Sorry about that. Gary, I wanted to just start off my comments by adding more points of context, see what you described. I know this is all anecdotal, but it hammers home the point that the other day we had a Utah Utah, a gentleman from Utah, Peruvian descent, green card holder, family of 5, held in an ICE detention in Austin, transiting back from Peru. His lawyer stepped forward and said there was no reason to hold this man. I mean, this is one of many examples. We just had an ICE raid in Vermont, dairy farm. Seven undocumented workers were arrested on the ICE claimed it was a tip, an anonymous tip by somebody in the community who saw these hardworking criminals going to milk cows.
Probably that farmer's competitor down the.
Absolutely. But having said that, it sends shockwaves throughout the ag industry in the Northeast. And even if you are here legally, even if you are here with papers that say I'm seeking amnesty or a way forward, these people are afraid to even go to work, even with that documentation, let alone potential green cards. So they're all getting swept up. They're all operating under solidarity. They're not just going to work because I think I can survive an ICE raid. They're absolutely terrified to even go to work. So this is very un-American. And I want to just compare this to the way previous administrations have handled immigration and how they have used bipartisan support to reward said immigration. Ronald Reagan passed an Immigration Act in 1986 through bipartisan support to recognize immigrants in this country who were here before 1982, who were here for more than 5 years, could show that they worked, paid taxes, and they were granted 2.7 million undocumented amnesty in the United States of America. Going forward from Reagan's administration, the Bush administration extended this amnesty to cover those families of the undocumented so that their kids would also be protected, so that families would not be broken up. To your previous opening comments about Republicans were about family values, and here's examples of that. So somehow between then and now, we've pivoted in an absolute horrific direction with regard to the ICE facilities that they're now creating. And this is akin, Gary, to the prison industrial complex in America. I live here in California, where many prisons were built on the backs of onerous marijuana laws, which targeted a lot of minorities as well, black and brown, and flooded our prisons with these laws. And so if you're going to go out and spend billions of dollars on detention centers, well, you're going to have tactics, Gary, that are going to run people over, arrest without proper due process, fly in the face of what we know as the Miranda rights in America, right to remain silent. And so you're creating a scenario, a tinderbox, where why tax our citizenry for this money if you can't go out and find the bodies to put into these places? And there's not enough criminals out there, Gary, to fill these massive facilities that they're going to be building. So they're going to be going after everybody, and they're even talking about going after and finding ways to unwind legitimate naturalizations that people have been able to receive after many years of being in this country. So this is not a pathway forward. This isn't of the legacy of Ronald Reagan and others. This is absolutely something entirely different that I don't even recognize. And so does this save America? Does this make America better, make America great again? I hardly think so. I think it's sending a chilling effect throughout our country, throughout the world for that matter, because if you look at the diversity of populations in this country, it's not just the Latino immigrants who are from south of the border. It's Indian nationals, it's Muslim nationals from Muslim nations. It's the Asian descent. We had a woman, here's another example. We had a woman sent back to Cambodia, and she never spent a day in her life in Cambodia, and has no family or any support system there to receive her once she was sent back. So the list is a mile long, Gary, and I'll end there before I start rambling more often than I want to. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I guess broadcasters are now faced once again on whether to beep the president out in order to adhere to FCC regulations or not beep them out because you're not supposed to change anything a president said to avoid being accused of manipulating the message of a president. But he says today, quote, "We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin." I don't know where he stands on Putin any longer. He keeps changing his position on everything. It's very hard to get a handle on where his head is at any given time. Back to the topic at hand. We're going to get through everybody that's still in queue. Madison, you are...
Thank you, Gary. What a great room today, as usual, whenever I come in here. I think David and Chris made some very cogent points, because what we're talking about in terms of the topic are ICE tactics un-American. And I'll lean into what Chris said. As a Black American, targeting people and profiling people is very American. And it's almost like we have this cognitive dissonance. Like, what did everybody think Make America Great Again meant? I mean, when you look at the history of this country, David was just talking about the prison industrial complex. I mean, in the South, policing came from slave patrols. I mean, that's what it morphed into, if you want to...
That is the history of policing in America, not just in the South.
Well, yes, I just didn't want to say all of it, that's all. But Ava DuVernay has a great documentary called 13th, and it follows the 13th Amendment all the way up to the prison industrial complex that we have today. But to the title, and we just finished with July the 4th, which is always amazing to me, because we weren't free in 1776, but this country celebrates like everybody was. And that's the part. It's like we just ignore the things that are obvious. We need borders in our country. Of course we do, but they did call Obama deporter-in-chief. But those are the same people who called him that now praise Trump for being tough on immigration, which is wild. The difference is he used tools that were already in the books. He used expedited removal, which was created under a 1996 law that let the government deport people if they were caught within like 100 miles of the border. And if they couldn't prove they had been here for 2 weeks. So, yes, there was no judge, no hearing, they were just gone. So Obama expanded that tool, especially during the child migrant crisis. Was it legal? Yeah. Was it fair always? Maybe not. But even with that, he tried to balance enforcement with compassion. Of course, he created DACA. I'm just speaking to some of the things that were said and comparing the two earlier. He mostly focused on people who just got here and people with criminal records. He wasn't criminalizing all immigrants or using them as political pawns. Now, of course, we see what's happening with Trump, and it's become a big spectacle. Even family separation became policy. And so the same people who trashed Obama are now clapping for Trump, which is crazy. It's not the message, it's the messenger. And if we're going to talk about enforcement, let's be honest, most undocumented people didn't even cross. They flew in legally, they've overstayed their visas, and they're still here. But we don't see raids in those communities. So, I think we have to have enforcement, but it seems like it's selective punishment right now, and our system is being abused. So if we're going to enforce the laws, we should do it across the board with fairness, due process, and some humanity at least.
That's a really interesting point, Madsen, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I know lots of people who are here having overstayed their visa from Israel and from Ireland. Lots of people. And they are not fearful that they're going to get picked up in a jackbooted thug type ICE raid. Hero.
I'm walking in the rain in British Columbia. They call it liquid sunshine. It's not nice. Yeah, it's un-American.
Is the sun out and the rain?
No, it's just rain.
Oh, okay. I hear the rain. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we do. I guess if you live in an area where it rains so much, you have to come up with better terms. Yes, it's un-American, and I mean that in the sense that it's not the America I want. Several people have challenged my notion during this conversation of what American, what that really means, and I think that's totally fair.
it's not July 4th, which is always America to grow towards. A lot of good comments about like the necessity of it, right? Like, do we need to dress up in military garb to go into a secured building to pick somebody up like that? But I guess that's the point, right? It's performative. This is playing to a space. There's certain people who love this. They like the cruelty of it. They like the lack of civility. That's just what they want to see, and that's what Trump's doing. The fact that it's impotent is hilarious. It's like, this is everything about Trump is impotent, right? Like, he says something, he can't even deport as many people as Obama did, but they're going to run around and play these games. The masking up, the not identifying, that we start accepting that. Like, who was it earlier that said, like, maybe everybody should start masking? Like, come on, that is dystopian. Like, and that's where this is headed. It's really gross. And then, but people want to think this is flirting chess. It's not. It's just bully tactics. It's idiotic. I'm gonna guess our next speaker will go to great lengths to defend it. But that's all I got to say. Thanks for the room. This is really good.
Thank you, Hero. Steve.
Yeah. Is it un-American? Well, we have 10 people in custody right now for trying to assassinate ICE agents. We had a shooting in McAllen, Texas about this.
Were they illegal immigrants, or were they Americans?
No, this is a tactic being used against ICE agents.
I agree, yeah.
All right, well, it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, if you're out there doing a job and someone's out there, you got 10 people coming in to lay in on you with guns, it don't matter who it is. It's what they're supporting.
So what does that have to do with the question at hand, though?
Well, I'll give you the answer to that. We got that. We got people trying to dox these guys. You wonder why these guys are wearing masks. They're trying to dox them and give their home phone number. Why you got people wanting to shoot? So no, there'd be no reason to try and protect your identity under those circumstances. We got mayors actively trying to court. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's go back to the three incidents. Hold on, Steve.
Well, I mean, come on, Gary.
Let's go back to those 3 incidents in Texas.
Okay.
Whether those guys were masked or not had nothing to do with it. Nobody targeted individual ICE agents. They went and shot up border patrol stations.
No, the one where the 10 people are charged with attempted murder, they was after ICE agents here.
Yes, but not. I didn't say that. I said they weren't. I said they were not after specific ICE agents. They were after border patrol agents and ICE agents, and so they shot up.
Which makes the point even more salient.
No, it makes it
exactly.
It does. No.
Yeah, it does. I don't know how you come to that.
Well,
if you're out there trying to do a job and you got people trying to dox you, you got people trying to assassinate you.
Those people were doxed.
I didn't say they were. I said that was part and parcel. That's why they're wearing the mask.
But how does wearing the mask?
Oh, come on.
Steve, think logically.
I am thinking. You're not wrong.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Whether they had their masks on while on duty or whether they didn't have the masks on while on duty, it was the facility that was attacked, right? In one of the places, they shot off fireworks to get the people to come out so that they could open fire, correct?
Well, the ones in Texas that the 10 people were charged, there was actually firearms used. It wasn't firecrackers.
All right, in one case it was fireworks, maybe the other time it was firearms, but it had nothing to do with doxing or identifying a specific...
Gary, now hold it. I mean, come on, I know you can tie this together. You got people out here talking violent rhetoric against the people. You got people actually taking that violent rhetoric, putting it into action.
One of the people that was shot in the neck was a police officer.
He was there at the facility, Gary. They're attacking the institution, and what is going on now?
So should your police department wear masks and not wear badges so that they can't be identified?
If my police department was constantly under threat of being doxxed and people coming in their house for simply doing their job, yes, I would encourage them to wear masks. Absolutely. But in the area I live in, we don't try and dox our police department. We don't try and obstruct them like mayors we got going on.
Because there are no bad people in your community?
No, Gary, come on now. I mean, you're being disingenuous. Let me go through a list. We got people doxing. We got people assaulting ICE agents. We got crowds assaulting ICE agents. We got governors actually trying to thwart immigration law. There is a thing called the Supremacy Clause. We got mayors actively calling ICE agents Gestapo. We got a sitting governor calling them Gestapo. This is the environment that they're working in. And you know what? Someone wants to turn up the heat. Go with them. If they want to turn this stuff up, and you want to, every time you go out to do your job, you got a bunch of people in your face throwing bricks at you and trying to assault you with fireworks, yeah, I'd be dressed up too. I'd be masked. I want to let them know who I was so they could come to my house and God knows what to my family. The temerity to think that someone, for the purpose of doing their job, if you don't like these laws, change them. But these guys are out here enforcing the law. And we got people that are actively trying to assassinate them. We got people shooting fireworks at them. We got governors. We got mayors actively thwarting national immigration law. This is the environment. If you want people to act decent, you act decent to them. Don't go out there and start throwing bricks at them. Those guys in LA, they're getting water bottles and they're freezing them, throwing them at them. Okay, no problem there. Got a guy trying to shoot you? Well, there's no reason to have a bulletproof vest on just because guy's trying to blow your head off. Why would you need that vest?
No, nobody said anything. Nobody suggested that they ought not to wear bulletproof vests.
Well, this is the point. This is the point. They're simply doing their job. They're operating in a very hostile environment, and they should just go down the street with their badges on, their faces out, so someone can run to their house, maybe burn their house down, maybe murder their family for simply doing their job, and then we'd say, well, that's not too many of them. Well, I'm going to tell you what, if I'm an ICE agent, and I know that someone's trying to get my address, and I know people are actively out here taking guns trying to shoot us, I'm going to protect myself. Any rational human being would. And the idea that this is somehow, and he's made mistakes, there's no question about it. I think the biggest mistake that Trump has made here is with the workers. He should have filled out and isolated the working class that's going to work every day doing their job and put them off the table. He didn't. That's a huge mistake. But the idea that these guys have nothing to worry about, when you got 10 people in jail right now for attempted murder, you got a sitting governor calling them Gestapo, you got a mayor in LA that won't give them any support. Well, you got people throwing bricks and water bottles that are frozen at them. Yeah, there's no reason to be afraid for your own safety, and maybe take some precautions so you don't end up in a box. I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Steve. Jewel.
Wow, Steve. I applaud Steve. Unbelievable speech. Who are these ICE agents? These are government agents. Why don't you take a look? Not one person said anything nice about ICE agents. They're protecting you. They're protecting you, the American. They're protecting your children. They're protecting our country, our borders, language, culture. That's what they're doing. ICE agents are blacks, whites, women, men, Hispanic. They're your everyday people. They go through rigorous training, physical and mental training. They learn the Constitution and what to do and what not to do. They have a very dangerous job. Why doesn't anybody on here acknowledge this besides Steve? Unbelievable. And we're throwing them out to people who have violent violent histories, and they're being defended by radical college students, and they're being defended by politicians that are insane. I don't know what to say. Gary, you picked a great topic today. It just, my head is spinning around, listening person after person after person, not defending American ICE agents. They should be respected like police, like firemen, like FBI agents. They should be respected. They work hard. Their life's in danger. And what is American to begin with? Isn't American to defend American people? Is that the most important thing about being American? To be defended? I rest my case. Get your next liberal up. Get your next woke crazy up.
Now, you don't have to call her crazy.
I didn't see I didn't really look. Yes, I didn't really look who's next. And I meant get your next person up who will speak bad about ICE agents like the Gestapo agents.
Thank you, Jules, and thank you for correcting your misspoken commentary.
Wow. Okay, chat, you're right. I don't use chat. You actually quoted a case the other day, and I knew it came from chat. So
ChatGPT, you mean, right?
Yeah. All right. Regarding the masks, regarding the people that are being arrested in court, that's a trick that the Trump administration has played on them. What they do is they have dismissed the cases against them. So by dismissing the cases against them, when they're at the courthouse, their applications have also been dismissed, and they don't know that. And so you've got the people waiting for them to arrest them. There was a senator in the courthouse asking one of the officers why he was wearing a mask. Why do you need the mask, you guys? And he did one. They didn't want to answer. One did, and said it was because he said face recognition, and you could you catch me, and you could find my family. So that was one of the reasons that was given. Regarding un-American, some of us don't always think in terms of what's legal and illegal. Some of us do think in terms of principles, our principles. We know that we go to war. We know there's a lot of things we do wrong, but as individuals, we think in terms of principles. And sometimes when we see an old man being beaten up by 8 officers, and this is just an old guy, a landscaper, that bothers us. When we find out about the child who has leukemia and he's being detained, he's a baby, he's being detained, that upsets us. When we read about or see the Americans who have been arrested and detained, that upsets us. That's not our principles. It goes against our principles. So those are the kinds of things. And yes, are they doing their job? Yes, they're doing their job, but I don't see why their job needs the same way as there's bad police officers. When you see violent police officers that don't need to be, that's upsetting. And so when we see ICE agents, quote, doing their jobs, they're not in danger by that person that they are beating up on or who they have arrested. They're not. And so, that's part of it. And so we can't just close our eyes to it and no, forget woke and don't call me a liberal and none of that stuff. It's just thinking about it. And when you look up American, it talks about our customs, our traditions, and our principles. And let's see, regarding Obama. Yeah, Obama did. And one of the problems Trump has is that as of April, he doesn't have as many people coming across the border. He brags about that. So what you've done is you've detained so many people, and you detain them for a long time, they're not getting in front of the immigration judges. Everything is backlogged. With regard to Obama, why wasn't it a big deal then? It was because it was a long time before anybody knew about it because Republicans weren't making it. They weren't running on that issue. They had constituents who wanted illegal immigration because their constituents needed them for work. So now you've got
a political party that ran on immigration. That's it. Did cages? Yes, Obama did cages. Did we all know that he did cages then? And he changed some things then. But no, and that's the part. That's on the fault of the party who didn't care. It's not just that Democrats didn't even realize it, because some of us, it wasn't an issue to us. We were running on. We were taking into consideration other things, but Republicans weren't making a big deal about it either. And so that's why, if you think Obama got it passed and Trump didn't, that's why. It wasn't a political issue, that big of a political issue that Trump ran on and got elected for. So, thank you.
Thank you, Meryl. Folks, we're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time. So till 5 p.m. New York time tomorrow for the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum. Everybody be safe, be well, and peace out.
Setting. And so when we see ICE agents doing their jobs, they're not in danger by that person that they are beating up on, who they have arrested.
Maybe fight when those come to us to
park in LA and there's just no consideration whatsoever. I don't know, man.
Is that what Trump said he attacked California, the thing that happened in the park, or am I off about that? I never did get the rest of it.
I mean, he did attack California. I don't know what he said, but that was an attack. That was terrorism. That was state terror.
Well, I think we're going to get a bit more of this because the Supreme Court just upheld his right to fire federal employees.
Eight to one decision. Damn.
It was not an 8-1 decision. Why are you saying that? That is not what happened.
It wasn't 8-1. It says that John G. Brown was the only dissenting vote. I got it wrong?
Yeah, you got it wrong. So this is there is an emergency ruling, which means the standard is they don't actually say what the vote was. In this case, Ketanji Brown Jackson decided that she wanted to issue a dissenting opinion, but that's the only vote that we know of. The other 8 are unknown, and I would find it very, very unlikely that the 2 other left-leaning jurists voted for this. I would be stunned.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it funny?
People are just people have lost the plot. They've just lost, they don't understand, action and consequence.
nuance. Like they don't understand the difference between truth and lies. Like the Orwellianness of this moment we're living in is just stunning. Like the things that we can do something about. Oh well, there's nothing that could have been done, and nothing that we should do moving forward. And full steam ahead. Let's cancel FEMA.